I'm hiding from the light. I might put my sunglasses on in a second. So I just did this with Capricorn, where we didn't look at the astrology, we just looked at the cards and we just went with it. And we can talk about the astrology in the second part. First card up is the Sun. Listen, no matter how you're feeling, regardless of how needy you may feel right now, or how upset you may be, or how discontent you may feel, it's okay. Things are not only getting better, you won't be able to hide from the sun. It'll be so bright. You can try hiding from it all you want. And there is an earth energy involved, especially if it's a Taurus, but this is more about stability of income and wealth. So something that really goes a long way in providing more abundance and therefore more emotional security for you, which is something that you've been looking for a long time. Now, this may be really not what you want to hear, even though it's all good news, because you're more wanting to hear about romantic things. And I think the cards are being really direct and honest, as they always are, about what you need to be focused on. Just would like to point that out. Your success here, Queen of Pentacles, it's implied that the success is about what you are able to produce and add to the conversation, but also what you are able to walk away from, because it's just become either a financial drain or, the very basic idea of knowing when to cut your losses is what the Six of Swords is about. And you would be surprised to know that knowing when to cut your losses can many times be a much more important skill than any investment strategy or education that you may have in investment, for example. So becoming very cognizant in December of what you add to the conversation, but also what you disallow and what you no longer would like to hold ties with, whether it's an idea, a form of behavior, a treatment by somebody else. The point is that the give and take becomes a lot more equal, and that is reflected in the finances as well, because you have been giving a lot and you have been doing a lot, both energetically and physically. And so it only makes sense that the universe would then create this windfall of abundance for you. So like I said, even if you might not be interested in a money reading right now, that is what's coming up. I'm sorry. And it's all really good stuff. Now, when it comes to balancing out a relationship, what's more is that, it is time, regardless of how old you are, it is time, considering the times that we're in, to really be thinking in terms of long-reaching plans and goals and long-term stability. You need people you can build with, and if you can't build with them, why are you wasting your time? Whether as friends or lovers or anything in between, why? Even family who's not really family and is constantly a source of sabotage or pain, why? Why? Because your Cancerian nature won't let you, won't allow you to let go. Some crabs lose a claw and then grow another one. Just a suggestion. Because, it is a time, huge solar eclipse, in Sagittarius, like, it's time to, it's one thing to, let me put it this way, it's one thing for you to understand that you're incredibly important. It's another thing for you to start treating other people like you are incredibly important. That's what I'll say. And the cards don't seem to want to say anything else, so I think we'll leave it there. It's very, as I and the shuffle, the bottom of the deck is your ruling planet, along with Judgment and the Knight of Cups. It is time for you to tell the truth, and these eclipses are not going to let you go. It is time. You, much like Capricorn, have a lot of subconscious work, because your priorities, what you're allowing a Six of Swords action, where you're allowing that Six of Swords action and where you're disallowing it, says a lot about your priorities and your programming. And you've got some very uncomfortable truths coming to the surface about who you are. Your priorities are giving you away, either in the best way possible and putting you in the most beautiful light, or exposing you. They're either beautifying you, your actions of the past are now illuminate you in either the most beautiful light, or they defile you. So depending on where you are on that very extreme spectrum, you have your day. The most important thing now for you in any relationship is to continue to do the work of not striving, not chasing, not needing that which is outside of you, to become more and more emotionally self-sufficient, to continue to cultivate and nurture your relationship with the divine, to enrich yourself spiritually, and to find fulfillment there to such a degree that what is best for you and what is good for you naturally rolls to you. You may get tired of hearing me say that, but it is the most sublime and easy way for anyone to live, but especially a Cancerian, as you are so sensitive, and you do have to be very careful about who you let into your shell. Loves you.
Hi Cancer, welcome to the second part of your reading for December. Okay, that Sun and the Hierophant is telling you right away. This fixed energy, this Leo energy, this Taurus energy, let's talk about it. How does it affect you? Fixed energy has a tendency to get under your skin, and it can bog you down, and it can hold you down. So that feeling where I often tell you, Cancer, don't worry, you feel like you're drowning, but you're not drowning. Okay, you are a creature of the tide, you will not drown. That doesn't necessarily hold true when you take on the qualities of the fixed signs, because it's not your own. You're a cardinal sign, regardless of how much you like to hang on to things. You are a sign of movement. You push the seasons forward. It is part of your nature. So when you give in to the fixed aspects of your nature that are not pronounced, but at certain times of the year they are very pronounced, as they are coming out of this Scorpio season, you may still feel very hampered by that energy, that inability, no matter how hard you try, to open your claws and let go of something that logically you already know you must let go of. This doesn't have to be a person. It doesn't even have to be a relationship. This has to do with something you created in your mind. For a long time, you were under the supposition that this was fact. You acted as such, and I think it became established, like it's been cemented in you that this thing is what it is. But you have an eclipse coming up tomorrow that's going to show you that it's not what you think it is. And actually, the reality that it's going to point out to you is that you always knew that this wasn't what you were trying to make it, but you thought, again, cardinal energy, that through sheer will, you could make it the way you wanted because you believed it enough. Now, we're bumping up here against this idea of manifestation. Okay, so some of you might be thinking, okay, yeah, but I have to be that way if I want to manifest things. Not if deep inside you know you don't deserve them and that you're trying to fantastically talk yourself into something. That's not how that works. The way manifestation and then from there on visualization, etc., works is that you must first have that feeling of total worthiness, that certainty within that the thing, whatever the thing may be, arbitrary in this case, it could be anything, is something that is of course worthy of you. In fact, that thing would be lucky to be with you. That thing would be lucky to be your possession. That person would be lucky to be your significant other. That job would be lucky to have you at its helm. But that sincere abundance of self-worth is the place from which we can, quote unquote, fake it till you make it, dream it and see it until you believe it, etc. But that base, okay, that foundational confidence and that sense of worth has to be there, which is the springboard from which the fixed signs jump into manifestation, because they are so stubborn. They are completely clear on certain things. And with fixed signs, it happens to be about worth. If you come across a fixed sign that is unclear about their worth, and generally this is relegated only to the Aquarians because they overthink it, right? When you come across a fixed sign who is not sure of their worth, you will come across someone who manifests in stops and starts. They are not able to maintain a steady flow of what they want in their life because the doubt kicks in and they're like, oh, maybe I don't deserve it. And then whatever emotional scaffolding they were building, for which the simulation would come and build on top of, it all falls apart. So why am I saying all that just looking at the Sun and the Hierophant? Because these are two very strong fixed energies and they are all over you. The Sun, in its highly evolved state, very obvious, a card associated with Leo and Gemini, associated with life and children and vitality and youth and exuberance and enthusiasm. But in its devolved state, that Leo energy is about being self-centered. It's about not being able to see anybody else's needs or wants and not caring. Not only not being able to see it, on some level knowing that you don't see it and not caring. Okay, please drink something. Now, on the other side, excuse me, next door you have this Taurus energy. Now, in its most evolved state, you're talking about tradition and conservatism and upholding the institution. You're talking about wealth, not just riches, but wealth. You're talking about something beginning that is long-term, that could, over the long term, create enormous revenue for you, but it requires a lot of patience. Okay, so this idea of the slow blooming rose, right? This is Taurus opening up in the spring, bringing us the spring, pushing us down into the dirt so we can spring forth into life, okay? That is its evolved state. Now here, the devolved state of that same energy sitting on top of you is it has to look the way I want it to look. Tauruses can get very specific about their aesthetic. They can get very specific about the visual. Generally, you will think that the people who look the most for physicality in their partners are perhaps a Leo, perhaps a Gemini. You would think someone a bit more superficial. But the Taurus is the dark horse here. If you notice, Taurus is never stepping out of the lines of dating somebody or being with somebody bad. Like they have it in their head that it has to look a certain way, and they will hold up their entire life, waste years being stubborn on that point because they will not compromise on the physical. That's fixed earth, right? Fixed corporal being. Now, how that translates to you, how it's holding your head underwater right now, is the same exact sentiment. I need this to look the way I want it to look. Now, couple that with the Leo energy. This is the way I think it is, and it has always been this way, and I can make it this way. I can bend this situation through sheer will to the way I want it to be, and for it to look the way I want it to look. Now, you are, with these two tendencies, holding your own head underwater. So this feeling of I'm drowning, yes, but you are the one doing it. Because the stubbornness, okay, whenever we find ourselves succumbing to a vice, you have to understand that that vice is only relatable to us. We only indulge in it because there is some spark of it within us anyway that it taps into. What these energies are tapping into with you is your stubbornness, this intractability, this unwillingness to compromise on things that have to do with other people. Things that by nature you must compromise on because they're not just your thing. Many times Cancerians, when they feel their feelings, that's it. Their feelings have been felt. This is of paramount importance, even if they don't feel unworthy. Ironically, the more unworthy a Cancerian feels, the more heightened and important their emotions become because it's narcissistic, it's self-obsessed, right? So what we want to do now is we want to move away from the restrictions and the standards that we're trying to put on the fate that is trying to walk in our door. And we're also going to stop trying to impose this very specific visual that you have, that you're trying to superimpose onto this hologram to see what you want to see. We're going to stop doing that because all you're doing is keeping yourself from seeing what's actually there. And I guarantee you it's much better than what you think you can achieve with stubbornness. Now, for some of you, this is really stinging because you didn't even know until 8 minutes ago that you were doing this. But now that you're hearing me break it down for you, you're like, oh my God, that is what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? It's okay. Just refocus because look, like I said, those energies have very, very positive aspects as well. You don't have to be so into your own feelings that you can't see anything else. You could just choose to radiate and be full of enthusiasm instead and bring light and laughter and kindness and sweetness to the people around you. That is also the sun energy. You could focus deeply on your work. You could be creating new revenue streams, new platforms, new ideas could be formulated right now. You could be very money-minded. Okay, ask any Taurus, that's their saving grace, especially when they start to get super obsessed with an idea, a concept, a person. They can just switch over to money-making mode and boom, and the demons are banished. Okay, take note. Walk in that path. There's the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles waiting for you saying, listen, if you decide that right now you can put your own shit aside and focus on money, I'm here to facilitate that. There it is. The Ace of Pentacles is like waiting for you to think something up. You don't even have to make, the Ace of Pentacles is like, you don't even have to make that much of an effort. Queen of Pentacles is like, this is already something that's yours. But can you please make a little bit of an inroad so we can get to you? How are you going to make that inroad if you're sitting in a corner rocking back and forth because things aren't going exactly the way you want them to go and the person that you want to feel a certain way is not feeling exactly that way about you? I'm talking to you, Cancer rising, as well. This is a monumental period for you considering where this eclipse falls for you tomorrow. Okay, this is about maturing. This is about long-term relationships. This is about the shit you can't do with people if you want them to be in your life long-term. If you want the situation to become more serious than someone who loves you but also has to look after you, if you want it to become an equal situation and not just an intense one where you can kind of bully someone into what you want them to do with your emotions, if you want it to be more than that, then let this eclipse teach you that. Let go of this stuff. You have a day still. Let go of this stuff so it doesn't hit you like a bus tomorrow. Okay? Now, no matter how intense it feels, that moon is pushing you. That moon wants you to be intense. That judgment card, it wants you to say things that are unnecessary and don't need to be said. No matter how intensely you want to express yourself right now, from the eclipse on the 4th onward, don't do it. You think you're being normal? Tone it down even more. You think you're being completely toned down? Tone it down one more time before you say a word. Because otherwise, all it sounds like is you blowing a trumpet. Nobody can hear anything. It's blaring. It's annoying. It doesn't make sense. I'm just telling you how people are going to see it. I'm telling you the things that'll hurt your feelings now so you can get over it, because that's the kind of relationship we have. You know that I'm going to tell you the truth. It's going to kind of hurt your feelings, and then you're going to get up, you're going to dust yourself off and be like, yeah, she's being a bitch, but she's right. Okay, so I'm not worried about hurting your feelings. And every time I say that to Cancerians, you get a little bit sour, but I don't care. But you know why I don't care about hurting your feelings? Because I love you. Because I need you to know the truth. And most people don't want to tell you the truth because honestly, they patronize you. They think you're too delicate to hear the truth. I know you for the cardinal sign that you are. I know you're tougher than all of us put together. I have no problem telling you the truth. Because yes, you're going to be sour for a minute, and then you're going to realize that what I'm saying is right. If you get out here, post eclipse, and start telling everybody about your feelings, you're going to seem nuts. You're going to seem like a person wearing wings with a trumpet standing in Times Square talking about the end is near. Okay, because what you're actually doing is you're exposing your intensity right now is going to expose your fears. And that's not what we want to do. We don't want to give your fears a megaphone. The things that need to come out, they need to come out for you personally. This is for you to look at, not for you to share with everybody. This is a personal journey that you will try, okay? It will very much, because of the transits. Again, this is not a judgment on you, but you will try to make this into a public thing. This is a private processing moment for you. Don't turn it into something that has to do with anybody else. If there is someone in your life who is not giving you what you want, first of all, let me be clear that this has nothing to do with them. Whatever you're feeling right now, whether you are getting exactly what you want from your partner or you're not getting anything you want from the person you're in love with or would like to be with, this has nothing to do with them. This is about you learning emotional discipline. Okay, now Sagittarians are a lot of things, and we love to see Sagittarius season as this time of like partying and fun and going out and love and romance and sex, and it is all those things. But I tell you what, Sagittarians have some banging bodies because they believe in discipline, working out every day. This is discipline. This is a season, underneath all the fun and games, this is a season of discipline. Okay, Bruce Lee, perfect Sagittarian example. Discipline is everything. So for you, what that means is emotionally disciplining yourself right now. You can feel however you want to feel. One, that is nobody else's problem, nor should you make it their problem. Two, your feelings do not obligate them to act any way. No matter what bond you have, no matter what you've been through, understand that from moment to moment, anyone has the free will to do whatever the fuck they want. And they are not obligated to your version of morality or goodness either. Let it go. The Six of Swords is like, for God's sakes, you know, the eclipse happens, the moon, boom, and then it's like, fam, let this go. Because for most of you, your entire life is circulating, you know, there's like a centrifuge around this one thing that you just won't open your claw about. Now stop to think for a second, if that situation were removed, and I don't mean if that person went away, I don't mean if, God forbid, like you're not with that person anymore, you don't have that job anymore, but I don't mean that. I mean that if that somehow that situation was completely resolved and was not this sore, sticking issue for you anymore, how much of your life would it free up? How many more cool things could you do? How much more time would you have? How much better would you feel, therefore giving you more energy, therefore giving you more time in a day? Have you thought about that? Have you thought about how much of your life every day right now is being sectioned, packaged off, and sent to somebody else? Your precious life energy that is meant for you to do things with, to heal with, to process with. Between the 6th and the 10th, you need to dial it back so much, because that's when this judgment moon energy is like, first of all, not only do you want to tell everybody about how you feel and what they've done, you also want to tell them how they feel and how they feel about what they've done. Please stop. Please stop. Nobody wants it. Nobody asked for it. Nobody wants it. From the 6th to the 10th, honestly, just bury yourself in the sand and disappear. Don't actually bury yourself in the sand. Disclaimer, that's dangerous. Okay. If there is no trust, I have it written here, star, 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 star. If there is no trust, there is no future. This also applies to how much you trust yourself. You would only deign to be around people who were untrustworthy if you had some deep and serious questions and doubts about your own sense of worth. That is the only thing that would keep you attached to somebody that you don't think you can trust. examine that, please, because the 6th to the 10th makes you want to examine it. And what you want to do is you want to project that onto other people and tell them all about themselves while the transit's trying to tell you all about yourself. Don't project it, just sit with it, okay? Now, there are people who are going to be super emo around you regardless of what you do with your own emotions, which is why I've just spent 15 minutes trying to prep you to take care of your own stuff, because here's the really important part now, is that everybody else is seeing you as a sounding board to get all their gunk out and get all their hyperbolic reactions out, making you a scapegoat for everyone around you throughout December who can't process their own feelings. They just want to throw them against your wall. And it's extremely disruptive. It's confusing. It doesn't seem right. It's not right. Especially because you're already dealing with so much intensity. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm being a little bit direct with you right now. You need to take care of what's going on in your head before the people around you start wilding out and projecting all kinds of crazy stuff on you, because they will. Because you're the only person during these transits that we have coming up who is emotionally available enough for people to even bounce things off you. They don't even feel comfortable. They're too scared to do it with anybody else, but they'll do it with you. Now, a blessing, perhaps, not in my mind. Okay, but right now what we're going to do is, instead of seeing it as a blessing or a curse, we're not going to judge it at all. We're just going to mitigate the situation. What needs to happen now is that you need to have a pretty strong, thick armor between you and the world as people start to project these emotions on you. Some of them even trying to be violent. And the only way that you can do that with any purpose and with any success is to first take care of what's going on in your own head. Because what ends up happening is, if you don't exhibit this discipline, if you don't get control of what's going on in your head, when people start projecting shit onto you, oh my God, where is this gonna go? You understand? Now it's time for you to put your mom apron on. Okay, it doesn't matter who's doing what out here with who. These motherfuckers are not worth it, first of all. Male, female, and everything else. However you identify, you all fall under motherfuckers. These motherfuckers out here are not worth it, first of all. Certainly not worth you being so out of your head that people could just walk up to you, disrespect you, throw all their emotions all over you and walk away. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Venus is retrograde in Capricorn. Doesn't this whole part 2 give you all Venus in Capricorn retrograde vibes across from you, telling you your life? This is it. This is your month right here. Okay? And yes, it's harsh. And no, nobody wants to hear these things. If I had to hear these things about myself, I'd be pissed right now. Okay? Western Cancer rising, though, I'm listening. I don't want to listen, but I'm still listening. Why? Because this is about enormous rebirth. Once a year, I tell you, new shell, time to paint that new shell. This shell, you've been underground painting for a while. You just don't have the guts to come out with it yet. You want to still keep playing like you're in that really delicate shell that anyone can just crack with a word or a look. Meanwhile, the people who know you've been working on some, titanium version of that shell for a while. But why not debut it? Maybe because part of your identity is wrapped up in not being strong. And if that's the case, December is going to dissuade you of that notion. Okay? Final thing here, that 3 of Pentacles, this is about the teamwork that makes the dream work. This is about the people around you. This is about creating a well-oiled machine in terms of revenue, whether that's between you and a platform and is facilitated by a schedule, or it's you picking really good people for your team. Whatever it is, it needs to be done, and it needs to be done well. You need to really assess who's around you, if it's working for you, if it's a company you're dealing with or a platform you're dealing with, is it the right one? Are things as seamless as they should be? Because what you're prepping for at the end of December is scaling up. As we move into 2022, scaling up becomes very central to your work life. So we want a really good team in place, right? We want trustworthy people. We want people who have good intentions for us. We want people who aren't jealous of us, who aren't competitive with us. We ideally want people who don't give a fuck about the field that we're in and really just want to emotionally and physically support us. Because the truth is, Cancer, you already know what you have to do. You already know how to do it. You have the answers. You have the answers and you have the wherewithal. But if your emotions are not stable and on board and your heart is not clear and grounded, all that knowledge, all that capacity, it means nothing. Right? Just think about that for a second. Cardinal water. Cardinal water. The oceans that control everything. Cardinal water. What could actually stop cardinal water? Only cardinal water. The only thing that can stop you is you. None of us can do it. None of us even want to try. That's the funny thing. A lot of times you'll be thinking the people against you, and we're over here terrified of you, not against you at all. You could be against you. You have a tendency to be against you. And that's the thing that nobody wants to tell you, especially when you get into a space where you are definitely sure that people are conspiring against you. No, it's you. It's you. And December is going to give you the perfect opportunity to walk away from this entire dynamic with yourself, the Fool, into a new world. We love it. We love it. And I love you. The extended is on Vimeo. It's been on Patreon. Okay, the first part of the Cancer video has been on Patreon for about 10 days now. And of course, you can find it as an extended link. These are the Revolution rings. This is the World. This is the Empress. They are both available at the links below. If you're interested in a daily horoscope, head on over to @the Revolution on Instagram, where we look at the daily transits. You can check out your sun, moon, and rising. If you're interested in attending an online virtual event, we're having one on December 12th. And if you go to my Instagram, there is a link there, and I will also link it below. I love you, and I will see you in the extended right now.